Hi, everyone. Well, even though we're recording this episode on Halloween, it is now officially the Christmas season.
It is not. It is still the Halloween season.
No, but it's officially November, which means you have to start thinking about buying your holiday gifts.
Yes, and for the readers and audiobook listeners in your life, what better gift than the gift of books? So if you sign up with Libro FM, which is a audiobook listening platform, you can get your first month 2 books for the price of 1 by using our promo code, What You Should Read, all one word.
You can get all kinds of books on there, like, for example, my favorite author, Stephen King, which is appropriate for the Halloween season, which we are still in.
Not going to argue with that. So head on over to librofm.com and use our promo code What You Should Read to get 2 books for the price of 1 for your first month.
Happy Halloween.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Halloween.
You know what you should read.
It's time for What You Should Read, the podcast all about the titles you need. Join 3 book lovers and a guest as they cover all the best new titles to enjoy with your tea.
I have that, but I haven't read it yet.
Hi, I'm Julia.
I'm Rachael.
And I'm Kelly.
And this is What You Should Read,
The podcast where we should all over our books.
And I guess I should have said I'm Rosie the Riveter, since that's my costume today, since we are officially recording on Halloween.
The best day of the year.
Yes. Kelly's favorite day.
Yes.
I have gone to 2 Halloween parties this weekend.
What?
I know.
That's awesome.
They were both very different. One was like very Halloween-y. It was in this old big house in Baltimore that was very spooky looking, with a lot of like chandeliers everywhere and red walls. Yeah, it was like,
Wow.
Yeah. And I was dressed as like an elf, like a dark elf princess kind of.
Nice.
Yeah. And then last night's party was just as fun, but totally different vibe, just like board games, and, you know, people weren't really in a lot of costumes, and just like food and friends. And so both were fun. And I feel very social this weekend. It's great.
That's awesome. I've been watching a lot of scary movies.
Yay.
I watched a couple. Well, I watched Scream and Scream 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then the night before I watched Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which I had never seen, and I love it, and she's my hero now. So
I saw a meme and it said, I really want a movie where Dolly Parton and Elvira are sisters and they're estranged and they have to team up to fight crime and evil.
Yes.
I would watch the hell out of that. Like, I would love that.
mm-hmm.
Rachel, did you guys get a green screen?
We painted Will's office green.
Oh, so it works like a green screen.
So it works like a green screen. I have really nice Zoom backgrounds now.
That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah. It's nice looking in person. On the computer, it comes off a little more olivey than it looks like in real life. In real life, it's like green grass color, which is beautiful, and it's just like a green screen.
Nice. Well, even though it's been a Halloween weekend full of watching movies and going to parties, I have done a little reading. So I'm curious to hear what you two have been reading this week.
Oh,
I'm supposed to call on you, aren't I? I don't know what, something's wrong with me today.
I mean,
you both looked at me like a deer in the headlights.
Well, to be fair, I looked like that because I am afraid to say how long it's been since I've actually picked up a book and read it.
Okay, Rachel, you go first.
It's been a couple weeks since I've really read anything. I did kind of start Terror Road by Maeve Binchy. I kind of started Southbound, the Barefoot Sisters Appalachian Trail hike memoir, the first one, which I hauled a couple months ago. And then other than those, I haven't really been reading. I can't even remember the last book I finished. So I'm just a little bit slumpy. I did yesterday, I was cleaning the house and I started Girly Drinks by Mallory O'Meara on audiobook, which was really fun. So far is really good. I like a deep dive history into one like niche thing. So this is the history of women and alcohol, you know, since the beginning of civilization, basically. It's pretty cool. There's a really fun chapter about Cleopatra and her like drinking club she had with Mark Antony and all their friends, and you know how Rome was like pretty much outlawed women drinking, and that was one of the reasons they hated her so much, was because she was, you know, she had loose morals because she was a drinker.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I like it. So I totally recommend that. So get that on Libro FM. Use our promo code.
Yeah. Well, don't worry about the slump. I mean, as we all know, I was in one for a long time, and I'm still not reading as much as I was before, but I think I'm I've turned a corner. So
that's good.
It happens. It's the holiday season. We're going to be busy and doing other things. So
right.
Yeah.
Kelly, what are you reading this week?
I am reading Bad Girls Never Say Die by Jennifer Mathieu, which Kathy recommended. It was one of her October most anticipated. I am not very far in, but I like it so far, and I've loved every book of hers that I've read. So it's good, but I'm not very far in, but yeah, excited to keep going.
Well, I broke my slump last weekend by reading Always in December by Emily Stone, which was so good, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for a Christmas read. I will say it's a romantic fiction, but it's not a romance novel. I just want to put that out there. I thought it was, and then I realized it wasn't, but it's really, really good. And like, I loved all the characters, and I was like crying, and it was, Rachel, since you loved One Day in December, I think you'll love this. It has, I mean, yeah. And then now I'm reading Graceling by Kristin Cashore. That Rachael got me all the books in that series, and I really like it. I really like all the characters. It's about a girl who is she is a Graceling, and that means she has like a special power, and her power is killing. And she's the king's cousin or niece or something, and so she's like his hitman. And I'm really like only just started. I haven't read a ton of it this week, but I did read a few chapters this morning, and I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, there's like some kidnapping that she just carried out. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. And I'm also listening to So Many Beginnings by Bethany Morris on audio, which is the Little Women remix. And that's really good too.
Ooh, I read her adult debut Cherish Farah, which is out early next year. It's really good. It is really intense in a way that I really was not expecting. Bethany Morris.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I feel like so far she has the YA series that our friend Stephanie was talking about. The underwater siren thing, maybe, or mermaids.
Yeah.
And then So Many Beginnings, and then the adult novel. And it feels like everything she's doing is very different, but like very, very good.
Right. Cool.
And what is not very, very good is our book news for today.
Right.
So
great transition, Kelly.
I'm trying.
No, that was smooth.
Thank you. But basically, Texas gonna Texas, and there is the Texas representative Matt Krause is investigating school library books and school curriculum because I guess books are harmful now, and it is related, we think, to the Texas lawmakers trying to ban critical race theory from public school, pretty much. Right. And there is a 16-page list of books going from 1969 to 2021, and he's going after basically anything that deals with race, gender identity, sexuality, things that aren't for white, straight Christian people,
right?
Pretty much.
Yep.
And basically, he's also asking other districts to report more books just in case his 800 and some don't cover it. And they're to look for, and this is a direct quote, things that might make students feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress because of their race or sex. So basically, don't make white men feel bad for being white men.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah.
I guess they think all of their white boys in Texas are a bunch of snowflakes that can't handle learning about people that are different from them.
Yeah.
It does feel like it's that, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I mean, I feel like almost every good book from the last, from 1969 on is on that list.
Yeah.
But it's everything, I feel like.
The Handmaid's Tale is on here. The graphic novel of The Handmaid's, just the graphic novel, which is interesting to me. Like not the book itself, but yeah, I mean, Cemetery Boys is on here.
Oh my
There's
God.
It's really unbelievable. I mean, it's not unbelievable, but it's like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And
I saw one title that was like a young woman's survival guide or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, let's ban survival guides for young women.
Yeah.
Very pro-life Texas.
Yeah. Well, apparently one of them is a book about the Navy SEALs.
What?
And it's like very pro Navy SEALs. So it's not like it's bashing the military or whatever. It's like, really? Like,
it's probably
it
probably just has some descriptions of what it's really like to be in the military. And if young men and women read that, then they would be like, maybe being in the military can be tough. Maybe I want to think twice.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And that would, put a damper on this, feeding young kids into the military.
It's also just like they are prohibiting Black and LGBTQ and anyone who's not white and cis and het from being able to discover a book that might help them understand who they are. And it's like, these books aren't written to make white young boys feel bad. They're written to just like help be a mirror to kids who might feel like they don't have anyone around them who gets them. And it's just really cruel to try and keep these books from those kids. If the white kids don't want to read them, fine. But I mean, they should read them. But it's just doubly like bad that they are specifically keeping them from being available to other kids. I don't know.
No, and I mean, The Hate U Give, which I guess technically I don't know for a fact is on that list, but I'd be willing to bet my non-existent fortune that it is. The parts where
I don't think it is actually, which is surprising.
Yeah.
I feel like they know if they put that book on the list, they would get even more press attention for it because that book is a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah. But where Star is talking to her white friends at the school, I mean, I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to see the blatant racism, because we can all register that. But when she's talking to her friends and they're being like, like more subtle about their racism, and they probably wouldn't even consider it racism, I think that can be very valuable to see and be like, oh, that's wrong the way they're acting. And it can help people see, like, especially young people who probably never thought about it in certain ways before, just to be like, oh no, I've been unintentionally being very racist about things.
You guys, Darius the Great Deserves Better is on here.
Oh,
what?
Just the sequel, not the first book.
Oh,
that's so sure. Which is weird. Like,
yeah,
I guess the sequel is a lot more in your face about the fact that the main character is gay than the first one is. The first one is just sort of more so hinted at, maybe.
Yeah. And it didn't come up right away. So
maybe they just read the first chapter of each of these books.
That's what I'm guessing.
Oh my gosh, it's so lazy.
Ugh.
Oh,
crazy.
That is so frustrating. That is a great book and a great duology of books.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, happy Book News Day. Yes.
It's still Halloween, if that helps.
So our next segment is recent acquisitions, where we talk about the books we've recently bought, borrowed, or been given. Kelly, why don't you start us off?
Okay. I got The Orphan Collector by Ellen Marie Wiseman. I was recently in Salisbury for my mom's birthday, and I picked up her best friend from the airport. And on our drive down to Salisbury, she was telling me about this book, and she had read it, I think, for her book club. And it sounds really, really good. It's historical fiction. So I'm hoping to read it soon.
Nice.
And the other book I got that I'm very excited for is by a woman named Heather Wixson, and it's about basically horror movie makeup and effects.
Oh.
And it is called Monsters, Makeup and Effects. Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Julia, how about you?
I don't think I've gotten anything this week. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I don't think I did.
Wow.
I know. I'm trying to be good. I do think I'm going to get book of the month. I'm just waiting before I make my decision, but
yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. I haven't really gotten anything in the last couple weeks since we've recorded last, although I did. So for those of you who don't know, we do the Libro FM ALCs, the advanced listening copies for influencers. And, I got my monthly email reminding me, the new books are going to come out November 1st. So if there are any more of the ALCs you want, you got to get them now. So I went back and looked through them again. And I saw this one that I think was added probably later, because I feel like if I had seen this on October 1st, I would have gotten it. But it's called The Memoirs of Stockholm Sven by Nathaniel Ian Miller. And it is historical fiction. It's set in 1916. Or is it not fiction or not?
I think it's a novel.
Okay, yes, yeah, it is. It's set in 1916, and it's about this guy Sven who lives in Stockholm and decides his life is kind of boring. He's kind of restless, so he moves to Svalbard, which is an island in the Arctic Circle, and it's like one of the most northern inhabited places in the world, I'm pretty sure. And it's only, there's 4 months of like no light every year. The sun sets and doesn't come up for 4 or 5 months. And then, and there's a lot of the northern lights and stuff up there. So it's very cold, very dark. And I love books set in the Arctic Circle. I love books set in Alaska and things like that. So I'm interested to see kind of how this book plays out. So I got it on Libro FM, and I'll listen to the audiobook.
Nice. Well, that sounds great. And we are going to take a quick break. Today, we're talking about our most anticipated winter releases. So the book's coming out in November and December before the end of the year that we're super excited to see. So stick around and we will be right back with that.
You know what you should read.
It's time for What You Should Read, the podcast all about the titles you need. Join.
Okay, we are back, and today we are discussing our most anticipated winter releases. So before we dive in, we're going to recap our October most anticipated releases and how we did with reading them. Spoiler alert, I don't think any of us did that well. But let's go for it. We have our patented Good Place rating scale. You know it, you love it. So Kelly, your 5 for October were Where They Went by Scott Carson, We Are Not Like Them, Joe Piazza and Christine Pride, Frankie and Bug by Gail Forman, Any Sign of Life by Ray Carson, and Blackbirds in the Sky by Brandy Colbert. So how'd you do?
Oh, dip.
Oh, so you read one. You're a Jason.
I read one. I read the Scott Carson, which is actually called Where They Wait. I got it wrong.
Oh, okay.
So I guess double Jason, really.
Oh, dip.
But it was wonderful. I really liked it. I definitely want to read the other 4. They still sound great, and I'm excited for them. But yeah, not my best month.
Okay, no problem. Okay, Rachel, yours were The Storm of Echoes by Christelle Davos, Tacos for Two by Betsy St. Almont, Femlandia by Christina Delker, Girly Drinks by Mallory O'Meara, and My Monticello by Jocelyn Nicole Johnson.
I'm a cheaty.
Oh no.
I could not decide. I could not pick up a book in the last few weeks. Most of the month, honestly. I think I've only read a couple books so far this month. So definitely cheaty behavior. And I haven't read it. I have started Girly Drinks by Mallory O'Meara, but I'm only a little ways through. So
Yeah. And mine is a bit complicated because I only had 4 anticipated books, and 2 of them I had already read because I had the arcs. So I didn't actually read them in October. So that was All the Feels by Olivia Dade, Well Matched by Jen DeLuca. Both of those I had read. My Monticello by Jocelyn Nicole Johnson, and Always in December by Emily Stone, which I also read, the last one there. So 3 out of 4, 2 I'd already read. I guess I'm bad Janet. I don't know.
I feel like season 1 Michael would be fine with cheating. So
yeah, season 1 Michael. I'm season 1 Michael.
there you go.
Yeah, because I read 3. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just thinking about the rating scale, and I'm wondering if we should switch it up for next year and do one based on Schitt's Creek, because I watched it.
Yes. Yeah, it could be like Stevie, David, Alexis, Moira, Patrick,
Roland.
Oh, there definitely needs to be a rule. I feel like though there's no one who, I guess David would have read all 5.
Probably.
He's probably the most
be better than everyone.
I mean, I feel like Johnny Rose, he wrote a book, so he
That's
probably
true.
reads too.
Yeah, and he's head of the family. Okay. Yes, this is great. We'll have to work out the details.
Okay.
But I love that idea.
Yeah.
Oh, did you all see
idea.
Becky's costume? She was
I
Moira.
did. Yes.
So good.
Well done, Becky.
Yeah.
I've actually been texting the pictures to everyone I know who also likes Schitt's Creek. I was like, look at Becky.
Yeah, it was a great costume. Well done. Okay, let's do this. I want to know what you all are anticipating being released in November and December. Kelly, I'm going to start with you. What's your first pick?
Okay, so this is probably the book that you would not have expected me to pick. It is YA fantasy, and I don't think it's technically a fairy tale retelling, but it sounds like a fairy tale. It is Into the Blood Red Woods by Martha Brockenbrough. And here's the synopsis. Happily ever after is a lie. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom and a forest that liked to eat men, and a girl who would change everything, but not alone. Except there's no such thing as once upon a time.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it comes out on November 2nd, which is Tuesday, so I don't have much longer to wait.
Yay.
I'm so excited for that book. It just sounds fantastic.
It sounds great.
Awesome.
Rachel, what's your first pick?
Okay, so I'm recycling because back in September, I had made Sophie Cousin's new book most anticipated, and then realized I was wrong about the publishing date. It only published on ebook in the UK in September, but the paperback hard copy is coming out November 9th.
Right.
So Just Haven't Met You Yet by Sophie Cousins. And it's another rom-com about this woman named Laura who is on a business trip to the Channel Islands, and after a series of unfortunate events, meets a lovely man who turns out to be cute and funny, and they hit it off really well. It sounds like there's going to be some shenanigans and fun.
There's like luggage swap to that story.
Yeah, it's
right?
a luggage swap, but is it too good to be true? We'll see.
I loved her first book, so I'm very excited for that one too. I didn't put it on my list because I thought you might, since it was already. I had it as a backup just in case. But
there you go.
All right. Well, my first pick is a book of the month add-on this month. You can also use our code What You Should Read, all one word, at Book of the Month if you want. This is Will by Will Smith and co-written with Mark Manson. November 9th, Penguin release. So I find Will Smith to be a very interesting person, and I'm intrigued by this memoir. I want to get it on audiobook because I know he'll narrate it, and I think that will be great. He's a fantastic actor, obviously, and that's how I think most people these days know of him. But he started out as a hip hop artist, and then obviously he was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that TV show that was a big part of my childhood. I watched every episode and remember it fondly. And he's just like, to me, just a very interesting person, like his family, him and Jada and the kids. There's always been a lot of like rumors about him and his relationship with Jada. I don't know if that will be addressed. What intrigues me about this book is there's not a lot of info about it. I don't think there's been any reviews, none that I can really find, like on even the description of it doesn't really give much away, but it sounds like it's a combination of a memoir / almost like motivational, like self-help type of book. It's described as the combination of genuine wisdom of universal value and a life story that is preposterously entertaining, even astonishing, puts Will the book, like its author, in a category by itself.
Wow.
There's also a line in the description that mentions that he talks about how he mastered his own emotions, which I find a ridiculous statement. So I'm just intrigued to read it for that. Like, what does he mean? He can control his emotions. Like, I think like maybe he does. I don't know. Like, that just seems wild to me. I don't know why. That just seems kind of, but he seems like kind of an out there kind of guy, which I'm intrigued by. So yeah.
Definitely sounds intriguing. I want to read that as well.
It's out November 9th and it's published by Penguin. So
nice.
Kelly?
Okay, so this is actually the one that I think is the most me ever. It is The Collective by Alison Galen, which will also be out on November 2nd. And it's about a woman, Camille Gardner, and her daughter died 5 years ago, and she blames a privileged young man for that death. And so I don't know what she's doing, but apparently she's kind of going off the rails a little bit. And her over-the-top actions draw the attention of a secret group of women, the Collective.
Oh.
And basically it's these women who try and get justice in a world where like privilege doesn't hold people accountable. And according to the synopsis, fueled by mutual rage, the Collective members devise and act out retribution fantasies via precise, anonymous, and highly coordinated revenge killings. And I am here for it, and good for them.
Wow.
The Collective.
Nice.
I'm very happy, and it's a book of the month pick for November, so that will be in my box.
Cool. Rachel, what's your second pick?
Okay, my second pick is, I'm not going to call it a cheat because it is a totally different like book that I have to purchase, but it is Graceling, the graphic novel, which is coming out November 16th, I believe.
Nice.
Yes, 16th. And yeah, it's just, I had no idea until a few weeks ago. I was scrolling through NetGalley looking at stuff, and I saw the graphic novel of the Graceling, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm just really excited to see Katza and Poe and Princess Bitterblue just immortalized in, graphic novel form. I'm really excited about that. So looking forward to getting that.
I don't know all those characters yet, so.
Yay.
Okay, my second pick is Noor by Nettie Okorafor. Comes out November 16th from DAW. Nettie Okorafor, of course, wrote Akata Witch and Binchy, and this one is a new science fiction novel of intense action and thoughtful rumination on biotechnology, destiny, and humanity in a near future Nigeria.
Wow.
So the main character goes by the name AO, which stands for artificial organism. She also has another name, but she prefers to just go by AO.
Wow.
She's never really felt natural, and that's putting it lightly. Her parents spent most of the days before she was born praying for her peaceful passing, because even in utero, she was wrong, but she lived. Then came the car accident years later that disabled her even further. Yet instead of viewing her strange body the way the world views it, as freakish, unnatural, even the work of the devil, AO embraces all that she is, a woman with a ton of major and necessary body augmentations. And then one day she goes to her local market and everything goes wrong. And then she has to go on the run, and she meets this herdsman whose name is DNA. And then it's like a race against time. I think they're being chased. The other thing that intrigues me about this is everything in this world is streamed and watched. So they are also being watched on like a live stream by everyone in the country, I guess. And they're like, people think that they are criminals. So they're being hunted down. And it just seems like a really interesting premise. I love her writing. She always has something really cool coming out. So yeah, so that's Noor by Nettie. Okorafor comes out November 16th.
Okay, that sounds amazing.
Yes, it does.
It's like Margaret Atwood in Nigeria.
Yes.
It gives me very Orcs and Crake vibes. So
Yeah.
That's fun.
All right, Kelly, pick number 3.
Okay. I have The Surrogate by Toni Helene, which is also out November 2nd, making Tuesday very expensive Tuesday.
Oh no.
It's about a married couple, and I think they're very recently married, and Ruth is a journalist and she wants a baby with her husband, her new husband, but her husband has 2 kids already, 2 teenage boys, and he's like, I guess this is fine, but it doesn't seem like it's something he would have wanted on his own, but
Right.
sure, whatever. And because Ruth is in her 40s, she ends up getting a surrogate, and they find a 19-year-old who wants to go to college but doesn't really have money to afford it. So she's gonna give them a baby. They're gonna give her a college education.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what ends up
Could
happening?
go wrong.
Well, apparently when the day after the baby is born, she takes the baby and runs. And
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of other stuff. It sounds like Ruth and her husband are trying to find Callie and her boyfriend, and it's basically also just ideas of what a pregnancy is worth, what going through that trying to be a mother is worth.
Mhm.
And also, and this is really just scary for me, it is also set in northern Minnesota, in the middle of nowhere and in the middle of winter, just to make it all a little bit worse.
Yeah.
But it sounds really interesting. I don't know if it's going to be easy to pull off, but I'm hoping for a thriller that also gives me a lot to talk about and think about. So
Cool.
Yep. Here's hoping.
Rachel, what's your 3rd pick?
So my 3rd pick comes out November 9th, and it is called The Sentence by Louise Erdrich.
Oh yeah, I saw this one. Yeah.
So her new book, this description really intrigues me. It says Louise Erdrich's latest novel, The Sentence, asks what we owe to the living, the dead, to the reader, and to the book. I was like, whoa, that sounds interesting. So it's set in a small independent bookstore in Minneapolis. And the bookstore is haunted because the store's most annoying customer died on All Souls Day and simply refuses to leave the store. So a new employee, Tuki, she just landed this job selling the books after she'd been incarcerated for years. And she survived incarceration by just like reading a lot. And she just has to solve the mystery of this haunting, and also just trying to kind of understand what's going on with her, just her life in general. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to read this book. I don't know why, but something is really drawing me to it. So yes, so that is called The Sentence, and it's by Louise Erdrich, of course, and it comes out on the 9th of November.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Excited.
Yeah, I've liked everything I've read by her.
Yeah.
I want to haunt a bookstore.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It is the perfect thing to haunt. So
Yeah, if you have to spend eternity somewhere, it might as well.
Okay, my third pick, Kelly, I think you will want to read this one too. It's called Sex Cult Nun, Breaking Away from the Children of God, a Wild Radical Religious Cult.
Whoa.
It's by Faith Jones, comes out November 30th from William Morrow. It says, Educated meets The Vow in this story of liberation and self-empowerment, an inspiring and stranger than fiction memoir of growing up in and breaking free from the Children of God, an oppressive extremist religious cult. I am so excited to read this. I've been trying to get it on NetGalley for months, and they won't give it to me. I think it's going to be big, but I think it is going to be like Tara Westover's Educated. Everyone's going to be reading it, talking about it. Faith Jones, she was raised in the Children of God. Her grandfather was actually the founder. So she was like kind of hailed as special, but also it meant she got punished like twice as much to remind her that she's not so special. So she was like abused, but she like found a way to educate herself. She would like sneak books and, eventually broke away in her early 20s. But I'm so excited to read this. I think it sounds great. And I love the title. So that's Sex Cult Nun by Faith Jones, out November 30th.
Nice.
Ooh, I definitely do want to read that. That sounds amazing.
Right? I think it's going to be like a big gift giving book this year too. It's a memoir. People love stories like this, and yeah. All right, Kelly, what's your fourth pick?
Sorry, had to cough. Muted myself. Okay, so this is probably, it's not the one I'm most excited for, but I think it's going to be a really, really fun one. It is a graphic novel called Murder Book, a graphic memoir of a true crime obsession by Hilary Fitzgerald Campbell. And she is also the cartoonist for The New Yorker.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so basically it's why is it so much fun to read about death and dismemberment, and Hilary Campbell basically wrote this book to figure out what that is. So she talks about high profile murders, and it's also a little bit of a memoir and cultural criticism. It sounds really, really fun, and I don't really read a lot of graphic novels or a lot of nonfiction, but this is it looks fun. And also the first page and the Kindle update is up on Amazon, so you can see, or not the update, but the preview, so you can see a little bit. And the first page is, hello and welcome to my book, my murder book. I assume you bought this book because A, you too love murder, B, you're trying to understand why your wife, girlfriend, daughter, niece, aunt, partner loves murder, or maybe C, you're a murderer. If so, please go away.
Okay, I can see why you're excited about this.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting and also very funny.
Yeah,
I'm excited for both.
Sounds good.
Rachel, what's your fourth pick?
All right, I think my next pick is going to be Pride, Prejudice, and Peril by Katie Oliver.
Ooh.
So this is Jane Austen meets reality TV and murder in this quirky, cozy mystery. And the first
and
in
murder.
a series. Yeah.
It's like perfect for all three of us.
Right? So it's about, I don't know how to pronounce this name. I've always read it as Phaedra. Is that what it is? Phaedra? Phaedra?
So
Yeah. So Phaedra Brighton is perfectly content with her life of lecturing college students, gossiping with her best friends, and dreaming of Mr. Darcy. Her expertise lies in all things Jane Austen, but she knows the closest thing she'll ever get to being real life Elizabeth Bennet is in her dreams. So, but then this new reality TV show called Who Wants to Marry Mr. Darcy starts filming at her best friend's estate, and Phaedra is asked to kind of be on set as like the Austen consultant, basically. So she's super excited, but on the first day of filming, her friend Charlene's new husband is found electrocuted, and Charlene is accused of the crime.
Oh my God.
Yes. So she has to solve a crime. There's Jane Austen stuff. It's cozy mystery. It's going to be great. And it's the first in the series. I'm so excited for it. And that comes out December 7th from Berkeley Books.
Pride, that sounds so cute.
Yeah. I cannot wait. It's going to be so fun to read in the Christmas season.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to read that too.
Mm-hmm.
Good find. How did you find out about this one?
I was scrolling through NetGalley and I saw it. And just based on the cover, I looked at the description and was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah.
Okay. My next pick comes out December 7th, and it's Beasts of a Little Land by Joo-hae Kim. It's a historical fiction set in Korea. The backdrop is the Korean independence movement. So it starts in 1917, and it is a saga that spans half a century. So, it's got the generational stories there. And I guess there are 2 points of view. I think a young girl who is sold by her family to a courtesan school to kind of like, it's like an act of desperation, I guess. And then she meets an orphan boy, and they become friends, and he's like begging on the streets of Seoul. And so it kind of follows them both as they come of age. He gets swept up in the war. She becomes kind of like a performer, and maybe starts seeing like she could change her circumstances through marriage. It's giving me very like pachinko vibes, that kind of thing. So it sounds like a great historical fiction. And I went on a trip to Korea and Japan a couple of years ago, and it was really great. And I'm excited to read another book where I can like learn more about the history of that part of the world. So that's Beasts of a Little Land, comes out December 7th.
That sounds really good. Yeah. And I just want to stop and take a moment to talk about Fergie, your cat, because she has been sitting in your lap this whole time we've been recording, and she just keeps looking up at you. And like, my cat would never sit still that long, especially on me. Like, oh, just jealous.
Well, Fergie's a lot older than your cat too.
Yeah.
When she gets older, she might settle into that a little bit more, but Fergie's always been a very affectionate and cat that likes to be attached to humans. But yeah, she's the best.
She's a sweetie.
Fergie? Aww.
Yeah, we're talking about you. All right, Kelly, what is your last pick?
Okay, my last pick is Spin Me Right Round by David Valdez. It is pitched as Back to the Future with a twist. And it is about this gay teenager named Luis Gonzalez. And he wants to go to prom with his boyfriend, but the school, even though it's considered progressive now, they won't let them do it because something happened in the 80s with a closeted teenager named Chaz Wilson. And Luis gets hit on the head and somehow wakes up in 1985. And then he meets Chaz and he's like, okay, so if I can help Chaz be who he is and not end up whatever bad thing happens, if I can keep that from happening, it'll probably make it better for all of us going forward, and probably also let him go to prom with his boyfriend. Oh. And it looks that this school in the 80s seems a lot more conservative, and it's maybe not the best place to be gay. But it is called Fresh, Intersectional, and Wickedly Funny. So that is out on December 7th. And I'm really excited for it. It sounds great. And also, you know, Back to the Future. I'm
Yeah. Cool. Okay, Rachel, what's your last pick?
It's hard to pick because I found another couple of good ones, but I'm really intrigued by this one. So I'll pick this one. It's called Daughter of the Sea by Elizabeth Hobbs. And I'm really curious because there are 0 Goodreads reviews of it so far. It comes out December 20th. And it is described as on a windswept British coastline, the tide deposits an unexpected gift. So the main character, Effie, so the tide brings in this, like, she hears a cry and she goes down to the shore and she sees this like little baby girl wrapped up in a sealskin, and like instantly like captures her heart. She's like, oh, this little girl, she, you know, she's means to like foster her until someone claims her, or she finds out, you know, how, you know, who this little girl belongs to, what her family is. But then there's months go by and nobody claims the little girl. And also Effie's husband has been lost at sea. So she's just sort of embracing her new family. She also has a young son, Jack, and then her adopted daughter. And also in the town she lives in, people whisper about her. She's kind of an outcast because her grandmother people thought was a witch. And then, you know, when midsummer arrives, a man claiming to be the father of the little baby girl shows up. So it just sounds like a mysterious kind of sort of enchanting type story. And I don't know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very curious why there are no reviews so far.
Okay, so my last pick is The Big Reveal by Jen Larson. Comes out December 7th. It is a dazzling YA novel about a girl who isn't afraid to be big and sexy and dance her heart out, and a discussion-provoking exploration of the mixed messages our society gives young women about their bodies and sexuality. Yeah, Rachel, when I saw this, I thought for sure you'd have it on your list, but it says Addie is a talented dancer, a true blue friend, fat, fierce, and driven. When she's accepted into the prestigious dance program of her dreams, she thinks nothing can bring her down until she realizes that she doesn't have enough money to go. Refusing to give up, Addie and her friends decide to put on a top secret invitation-only burlesque show to raise funds. But word gets out and the slut and body shaming begin. Has Addie been resisting the patriarchy or playing right into its hands? Sounds
I'm so excited.
Good.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this just reminds me of like, there's this trend going on TikTok lately where someone made like a mashup of 2 Taylor Swift songs. And so they like show themselves, they'll be like, oh, when I stopped dressing for the male gaze and started dressing for me or whatever, and what I liked to wear. And then they'll show like pictures from before. And then when the song changes, it's like pictures from after. And I was like, oh, that's, you know, I think it's like a nice trend in terms of them being like, you know, I stopped worrying about what guys thought of my outfits and just cared about what and then a bunch of these other girls started posting these videos of like, you're still dressing for the male gaze. Stop saying you're not dressing for them. It's impossible not to dress for the male gaze and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, the way they're dressing now might still appeal to the male gaze. Like what they're saying is like, they're dressing intentionally for themselves and not for others. And the only reason that reminded me of that is the whole like, is she fighting the patriarchy or is she playing into its hands? And I'm like, I think the intention is the point.
Right. We can't win, right? No matter what we do. And so, yeah, it's designed to keep women from even trying, I think, to figure themselves out. It's like, oh, well, you think you're figuring yourself out, but really it's society that's telling you that you like that. That's how you like that. It's like, or things are more complicated than that, maybe.
Right. I just like when I started seeing these videos being like, you're not you're still dressing for the male gaze. And I'm like, that's not like the point really of the videos.
Right.
Like it's people being like, I finally like learned what I like and learned, you know, what my personality is and started dressing myself the way I wanted to dress.
Yeah.
It's just of all the things to fight about.
I know. Well, yeah, I mean, this book just sounds like it'll be great. So yeah. Okay, I think we have some good picks to get us through to the holidays. I mean, in between watching Christmas movies and rereading One Day in December.
Oh my gosh, every year have to.
So that is our show. You will be able to get most of these through Libro FM. I'm guessing Murder Book will not be one of them. But these and other books on Libro FM. If you don't already have an account, use promo code What You Should Read, all one word, and you will get 2 books instead of 1 your first month.
Yes, and be sure to follow us on social media, on Instagram and on Twitter. We're also on Goodreads. All of those places you can find us at WYSR_podcast. You could email us at whatyoushouldreadpodcast@gmail.com. And please leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts because it really helps our show grow.
And now you know what you should read.
You're welcome.
Yay.
You know what you should read.
It's time for What You Should Read, the podcast all about the titles you need. Join 3 book lovers and a guest as they cover all the best new titles to enjoy with your tea.